So, yesterday I finally watched the 1996 film The Island of Dr. Moreau. It's directed by John Frankenheimer. It stars a good cast. You have Marlon Brando, Val Kilmer, Veruja Balk, David Thewlis. And it's about a doctor, Dr. Moreau, and he is creating human-animal hybrids on his private island for who knows what. The movie doesn't really ever explain all that well what's going on. And this movie does have a very sordid history during its making, including, arguments and a director getting fired. Just every worst thing that could happen. I mean, Apocalypse Now, also with Marlon Brando, kind of went through the same problems, except a successful movie came out of it. I mean, all that work, and you get the successful movie. It's a good movie. With this, you do all that work, and horrible. Anyway, before I give some other thoughts, let me get to my notes that I took while watching the movie. I always take notes if I'm going to review a movie. If I know I'm going to review a movie, I always take notes. Here are the few notes I have. For the first thing, David Thewlis plays this guy who is the movie just goes by what he does so quick, and he is like a UN worker, and he's trapped on a boat, has to kill two other guys because they're all fighting over water, and he gets picked up by a fishing boat, which Val Kilmer is on. And immediately Val Kilmer looks like he's on vacation. He's got the headphones around his neck the whole movie. He's got sunglasses up to here or here. He's always wearing a sports tank top and shorts. It's ridiculous. The guy looks like he's on vacation, and he's supposed to be our villain, or our human villain, our most human villain for the movie. He looks like he's on vacation. As a matter of fact, a lousy vacation. He looks miserable. Everyone in this movie looks miserable. Anyway, they get to the island. We see Val Kilmer snap a rabbit's neck. It takes 20 minutes. The movie is so slow, too. It's so slow. Anyway, they're on the island, and David Thewlis sees, oh my gosh, they're animal-human hybrids, and they're being created by a mad doctor named Dr. Moreau, played by Marlon Brando. And the first scene we see Marlon Brando in is him on a cart being lifted by the animal-human hybrids, wearing white face paint all over his face and like a gauze strip over his head, which he explains is because he has an allergy to the sun. When really it was because Marlon Brando said, I want to wear white face paint and gauze around my head. That's why. So anyway, everyone looks miserable. And Marlon Brando just does whatever he wants, and he wears an ice bucket on his head in one scene. Another thing he said he just wanted to do, because he's Marlon Brando. He even got a small dwarf guy that the crew had hired, who's about this size, I would say. Really short dude. And they brought him on, and Marlon Brando said, I want that guy to play my sidekick. He's going to dress like me in every scene, all of that. And I'm just flabbergasted that they let him do that. But then again, it was Marlon Brando, one of the most classic actors ever, and I'm sure the studio said, hey, we gotta let him do whatever he wants. He's Marlon Brando. So, anyway, everything goes terrible at the end. The animals take over. They take out their tracking control devices so they can take over the island. Doesn't work out. And this was the craziest part to me. This is when the movie officially went off the rails. The movie was just ridiculous and boring up until this point, where it just became boring and really stupid and ridiculous. After, spoiler alert, Marlon Brando gets killed by his creations, Val Kilmer takes over and dresses like Marlon Brando, white face paint and gauze and all white robes, and he does Marlon Brando's voice. Not Marlon Brando in The Island of Dr. Moreau, where he has a normal voice. He talks like his regular self. No, Val Kilmer impersonates his Godfather voice. Oh, yes, my children, like that. And it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And my mind just kind of blew up at that point. I was incredibly annoyed. After that, still spoilers to follow still. Val Kilmer gets shot, the animals take over completely from the humans. And the movie just kind of ends after that. Like, they kill the bad ones, and David Thewlis is going to leave on a boat and says, "I will come back for you." And I'm like, no, you're not. And the animals say, "Hey, we're going to live here, we'll be fine." And the movie just ends, and we get this rushed message at the very end about how humanity itself is animalistic. And I feel like that was very shoehorned in at the last minute, because they were like, oh, we need a message to follow with this movie. What do we got? Oh, humans are the true animal. Well, yeah, but you can make that a theme throughout the movie, that they're truly animalistic. No, it's fine. Anyway, back to why everyone was miserable. This movie could have actually been good. It was originally going to be directed by cult film director Richard Stanley, who'd previously directed cult films Hardware and Dust Devil. And this was his baby, and only a few days into production, New Line Cinema fired him and replaced him with John Frankenheimer. And from that point on, everyone just argued with each other. Nobody liked each other. And everyone was really miserable. This is true, because Kilmer was going through a divorce at the time. Marlon Brando's daughter had just committed suicide. David Thewlis just didn't want to be there. He's never even watched the movie, apparently, from reports I've read. He didn't even go to the premiere. He just didn't want anything to do with it after that. And Fairuza Balk was just miserable because she came onto the movie because of Richard Stanley, really liked him, the director, Richard Stanley, and once everything changed, she actually tried to escape from set. She ran all the way to the airport, and the studio people found her and said, "You need to go back to set, you can't do this." So she had to go back to set and finish this god-awful movie. So, it was bad. It's a really bad movie. Now, on a really positive note, the makeup effects are really good in the movie. All the animal-human hybrids, they look good. This is because Stan Winston worked on this movie. He helped create these monsters that Richard Stanley had sketched down and everything. And that's the one thing that's good about this movie, is the makeup effects. There is CGI in the movie too, and guess how that looks? Terrible, because it was late 90s CGI that a few computer programmers didn't even know how to handle. You have about 4 or 5 shots that are CGI. You have one with a leopard hybrid running up a hill, and it's all CGI. It looks very blurry to me. And then you have a really weird scene where David Thewlis tries to escape again, gets on a boat, and is attacked by a bunch of little animal hybrid pygmy babies. And it's some of the worst CGI I've ever seen. It's about on par with modern day sci-fi CGI from the Sci-Fi Channel. So, at the end of the day, great makeup effects. Everything else is terrible. I wouldn't watch this movie. I would much more recommend you check out the documentary Lost Souls. It's about Richard Stanley, how he tried to make this movie, how he was replaced. All the filmmaking horror stories that are accustomed to filmmaking. Just these great stories and just gossip, almost gossipy stuff. But at the end of the day, you'd probably be better off just watching Lost Souls. And if you want to watch The Island of Dr. Moreau, just skip around it, I guess. I watched the director's cut, which I thought would be better. It's not. It's just mostly a bunch of gore shots. So, Lost Souls, watch it. Island of Dr. Moreau, take it or leave it. I wouldn't recommend it. So, I will be back for my next review soon. Have a good day.